said this about Tax Stone.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Tax had a strong voice, a strong opinion. But couple that with everything else that he was doing, not a good example. And he felt like he had to attack people for the attention. When he was doing it, I was like, yo, I hope this shit don't catch on.
Mm-hmm.
And you see other people, oh, I don't have to have a talent. I could just be tough online. Or I could really be about that shit, and then you're playing a silly game. And I've been there before, like running down on people for shit they said on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
There was one particular situation where I could have thrown my life away. It was God. God stopped whatever I wanted to happen from happening. But I could have really just thrown my life away. Most of this shit don't be worth nothing.
At all. And the thing that gets me is that I laugh at it a lot because when I say we, period, I still put myself in that box. When you get arrested, a criminal automatically becomes a victim. Once you get locked up, you became a victim. Do you remember when you became a victim? When you started saying, yo, what you got locked up for, homie? Nah, some bullshit. These fucking police said I was doing this and that. Oh, nah, they said I got locked up with 2 ounces. That shit was only 7 grams, son. Yo, this and that. You start minimizing, right? And you start becoming a victim and you start blaming the system. And now you in there with a whole bunch of other brothers that's blaming the system.
The same shit.
Saying, nah, the police, nah, that nigga was on some bullshit. He locked me up for some this and that. Nah, they ain't even find my fingerprints on the gun. Boom. They start finding everything other than what the fuck you really did.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing. I didn't look at everything that I did. I fucking found everything. Listen, when I got arrested, right? Well, not even arrested. After the crime, I went to the precinct and drove around with the police looking for me. I said I was there. I seen who did it. Gave them a description of somebody and everything. But I was the motherfucker that did it. When I went to court, the judge said...
Why'd you do that?
Because I was a manipulator, because it worked before.
But is that what the judge said? Why'd you do that?
No. No, that's what he just asked. But I stabbed a dude up before, right? And everything was violence with me, right? I stabbed a dude up before, and I end up stabbing my own cousin in the process. So I rush him to the hospital. When we in the hospital, they rushing homie inside. The police come in. I got blood all over me. The police come in. Was you there? You part of that? I said, yeah, I seen the whole thing. The dude stabbed him up. Yeah, this and that and that. And I got away with it. So now, when the killings start, now all of a sudden I said, oh yeah, I could do it again. And it worked. And then the judge, when I got sentenced, he said, at your age, you're a manipulator, and that the parole board shouldn't let you go. And I went to 6 parole boards, and I couldn't understand what it was. And I didn't even, and at the time, I didn't even understand the word manipulator. I didn't even know what the fuck that was. He said, you're a manipulator. I'm like, a manipulator? I ain't no manipulator. Man, I didn't know what the fuck it was. Right. And I went back, and I'm like, they call me a manipulator. And they like, what are you talking about? The kids that I'm with, they don't know manipulator. And I finally looked the word up. I said, manipulator. Oh, shit. And I studied that word. And I'm like, oh, shit. Am I a manipulator? And over the years, I'm saying, that's not me. I'm not a manipulator. I'm a good person. Because when it comes to criminals, we always want people to see the good side of us. When we go to parole board, I did college. I did this. Or I got a family. I became a Christian. I'm a Muslim. I'm a good person, this and that. Parole don't want to hear that. Because they know you didn't really change. That's how criminals think. We want to hear the change in you. Tell us about what you were. I was a killer. Why you had that gun? Because I wanted to kill somebody. I had a wish a nigga would attitude. I wish a nigga would step on my feet. I wish a nigga would bump me. I wish a nigga would do this. I wish a nigga that. But the reality of it, I really was a coward. What do you mean you was a coward? I said, because with that gun, that shit gave me power. Without it, I didn't have that power. When I went out, I always took my gun with me. Because the gun, I could shoot you from over here. With the gun, I can answer with pulling that trigger. But without that gun, now I gotta go past this and I gotta use these, and if it's 4 or 5 of them, I gotta accept getting jumped and beat up. But with the gun, I'm the toughest motherfucker in the world.
Yeah.
So I had to learn to get past that to become the true person that I really am. Because when you start to dig back and really get into yourself, I mean, like, you really see it. And people be like, what you mean you really see? Motherfucker, I really sat with myself. I seen my motherfucking self. I really sat with myself. And I'm in tears looking at myself like, damn, I would be afraid to walk down the alley and run into me. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna make a change, I'm gonna make a difference. So since I've been out and I made that change, I got the Umbrella Impact Program, which is a nonprofit organization in Connecticut. I work with kids, I talk to kids. I worked in the prison. I wanted to make it and make a change from within the inside. And I made, and I let people see that, you know what? Just because you've been in prison and you have a felony, that should not deter you. I got over 100 people jobs. Just came home from jail. I got one brother who I'm most proud of because he had a family of 6. He told me about his situation. I got him a job. He said, yo, brother, I was about to go back to these fucking streets, man, if it wasn't for you. I done worked for MTA.
First of all, I gotta clap it up for her.
And it's possible that you could get all of these city jobs. People be thinking you can't get it. I always tell people, when you come home from prison, the first thing you should do is go to the DMV and get your license. From there, get your CDL license, which I got.
Yeah.
Then you could get your taxi license. And then you could apply for the MTA, in which I worked for MTA. I drove the train, I drove the bus, I worked for Board of Education, drove the school bus, sanitation, all city jobs. Worked in the jail, worked for ACS. I did every motherfucking city job you could think of. I had it with a murder. And they told me I couldn't do it. I did it. But the number one thing you should get when you come home, you should get a certificate of relief for disability and a certificate of relief of good conduct. When you get those 2 things, it doesn't stop them from discriminating against you, but it does play a part in you getting a job and getting these different things.
Right.
So when I came out, I remember when I first came home, I went for this job, maintenance. He was paying like $37 an hour. And I went up in there, boom, interview, banged it out. Dominican brother. He was like, yo, so tomorrow you just come pick your clothes up. Come back the next day, he like, yo, they seen that you had a, you know what I'm saying, felony. I said, all right. Now remind you, and also mind you that I'm the only dude in the state of New York ever to come home with a certificate of relief of disability. I walked out the door with it.
Wow.
They gave it to me from in the prison. Nobody never had that before. So when I went there for this job, in which I was saying, they denied me the job. I'm riding home on the bus, and I'm hurt. Because inside, I did all this work and this and that. I done bigged myself up.
Right.
And I thought a fly was on me, bro. I'm telling you, I was like this. I'm riding on the bus, I'm coming back, and I'm like, fucking fly shit. I was fucking crying. The tear was coming out. The emotion was coming out, and I didn't even know it.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, shit. I'm fucking crying. What the fuck going on? Bro, from that day right there, I sucked that shit up. Like we told you, it's okay to cry. I sucked that shit up. At the end of that bus ride, when I got home, I said, I will never be denied a fucking job again. Never. And from that day forward, any job I went for, I got. I don't give a fuck what it is. I'm gonna fight for it.
What did you do? What did you change in your approach?
Well, like I said, the certificate of relief of disability played a part. I didn't use that for that job. I didn't even think about using that. That was one of the things I used as a weapon. Also, most of the jobs that I went for, I applied for it. And people always say, oh no, you can't get this license, you can't get that. Yes, you could. Because I went, I did it, and I have it. And if somebody deny you, you can make case law on that motherfucker because I work for them.
Right.
So don't let them deny you and tell you can't do it because of your felony. I don't care how heinous your crime is. Motherfucker, I got the top of the line crime. Murder intentional in the 2nd degree. So there's no way you can tell me that you can't make it if you're coming from prison and you need to work and feed your family, bro. And from that, I built a business. You could get your LLC, you could get your license, you could get license. I'm talking about, when I came, I got every license in the world to get. I don't even remember. You can look, and
you started racking up.
You can even get your gun license. That's a fact.
They let you get a gun license?
They can even let you, yes sir, you can get a gun license.
Amazing.
Yeah, but don't start in New York. And there's steps to that. That's a fact. See, now, I used to tell people on my channel on different steps you could take. I took the video down because I'm like, a lot of people just want to take it and try it so they can just get a gun.
You say you could get one, but in New York?
Don't do it in New York.
Oh, yeah, because my boys went to Florida and they good money in Florida.
Yeah, you could go to Pennsylvania, you could go to Massachusetts, go on to all these different states. Now, also, if you have a business, you can use it for that, where you can just carry the gun for your business from the home to the business.
Yes.
Also, those certificate of relief of good conduct and disability helps play a part in you getting that.
That's right.
But if you don't have that would be good to have. So when you do write it up and you put it in your letter and showing all the different things you did,
all the steps you
since
took,
being in prison and being home, that's going to look good. And you can get your whole record wiped out. Then you go downtown, you pay the $750. After you pay the $750, they come back and give you the whole shit and they seal your whole shit, man. I mean, the whole process, when you finally get it, you'd be like, oh shit, this shit is real. You're not gonna wanna fuck that up. Especially a person like you with a felony and knowing what the shit you've been through and you able to have a hammer, you're gonna treat it like gold.
Yeah.
I don't want no smoke with nobody. But this is gold, this is my protection, this is for my family. You know what I'm saying? But there are many different outlets. But like I said, I always tell people when you come home to get your CDL. A CDL, ain't nobody denying you no job. Because they don't give a fuck about your past history. They don't care about nothing. You could drive trucks.
Yeah, you don't even gotta interact with nobody.
You ain't gotta interact with
Go from
nobody.
point A to B.
That's right. And look, another thing to get into is the reefer trucks. With the freezer, those trucks is dudes be out here buying whips and all that in it. Like my boy, he got a whip. Shout out to my motherfucking man, Marshall. He got a whip, he paid $180,000. I used to have a Metris van. Remember the Metris van?
Yeah.
Joints? I had the Metris van. So you know, we go out, everybody coming outside, niggas is pulling up in they foreigns and all that. I'm pulling up in my van. They like, look at this minivan, motherfucker. Pulling up, suck up, mom, and they wreck me. Oh yeah, boy, you see this Benz? I'm like, yo, my car costs more than your car. He's like, what, nigga? That shit about $30,000. I said, no, my car's worth way more than yours. He's like, how you figure that? That's how much you paid, $180. I said, okay. So you put gas into it, you got a car note, you got insurance, you got all that other shit. I said, with my car, I go out, I do Via, I do Uber, I do DoorDash, I do all that shit. I generate money, I bring money in. Right. I'm about to turn the back of my shit to a wheelchair. That's even more money.
Excessive, right?
And he started thinking, oh shit, yo bro, how you get the vans? No, go figure it out. Go figure it out. Go figure it out.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man. That's why when I went through it with certain dudes on the internet with the PPP loan, there's people that took advantage of it, but there's legitimacy in the PPP loan. When I was doing the PPP loan, I was trying to tell people and show them the wave and show them the way. Yo, boom, this is all you got to do. You go to these little small businesses, you go to these different people, and you tell them, and then you get somebody else that know how to do the paperwork. And you make it all legit, and you get a percentage off of whatever they get.
Right.
And I was killing them on that.
As a consultant.
Yeah, killing them. And you're getting 40, 60, 30,000 a whop. Yo, bro, when there's a will, there's a way. And especially for a guy that has a felony that came from prison, I always tell people, listen, after getting all these different licenses, one of the things you gotta sign up with, you gotta sign up with, damn, I don't forgot the name of the program. That's fact. Workforce One. Workforce One, I don't care what nobody say. That's one of the best programs, I believe, in reference to getting jobs that help you get jobs.
What makes it one of the best?
Because when you go in there, they're gonna have 3 or 4 different job-ready scouters that's in there. You're gonna do your interview. You're gonna do 4 interviews today with 4 different people. You got the job. You just have to bomb the interview because they're getting sponsored by the program.
Sounds like
so
Strive.
they're gonna hire you, kind of like Strive.
Yeah. I went to Strive.
You went to Strive?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with Workforce, I believe that that's one of the good jobs. I mean, you got Osborne, you got Exodus, you got all these different programs.
Wow,
what worked for me?
Throwing me back with that
Workforce
list.
One. Right. Yeah, that shit. That's what got me into the DOE.
All right. What I really want to ask you, because you mentioned the universe, the energy. Is there a daily mantra or what's your routine when it comes to that?
Well, I believe in health is wealth. I believe in when it comes to spirituality, that everything is within you. So when I was away and I went to school, got the GED, went to college, took up theology, I started searching and seeking, because when I grew up, Pop's 5%er, I became a Muslim, mom's Jehovah's Witness, sister Christian, this person, that, and I got all these different religions. So I started to study all these different religions to see where my place was at. I went through Buddhism, I went through Santeria, I went through everything. Then I said, you know what? I'm not gonna just put one religion on myself. Though sometimes people say I'm a Muslim, but a Muslim is just peace. I'm a man who bows down and submit to a higher power. That's right. But I also believe in energy. That higher power is energy. That higher power is the universe, the atoms, and this is something that we feel. This is something that we go through in our travels. We can't see it, but it's there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I believe health is wealth. So I believe in working out, keeping that energy going, keeping the temple clean, keeping the body clean. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do none of that shit. You know, and I believe that prayer works, but you gotta believe. You can't pray and then wait for it to happen. You gotta pray and you gotta go out and make it happen. Because you're only talking to the universe. You're sending it out there. Anything you send out, it's gonna come back to you.
You just gotta make yourself available or in the right position to receive.
That's right. So as the universe is turning, I believe that, this is what I say, I believe that when the universe is turning, that there's little pockets, and when that pocket come around, you just gotta be ready to jump in. This is my time. I gotta jump in like double dutch. This is my time. I gotta jump in. This is my moment to shine.
Right.
You know? And I had many different moments that I didn't take advantage of, because I was always trying to big up this brother, big up him, help this person. Yo, bro, I done made motherfuckers millionaires. No cap. Millionaire. And how the fuck you made a motherfucker millionaire? You ain't no millionaire. Because I align people up with the right people and the right things and put them in the right direction, in which I was supposed to took that. Our family be like, why the fuck you always, and you never taking that step and never doing it? I said, because you know what? I feel that the lives that I affected, lives I took, and people that I hurt, that I have to give back, and this is my way of giving back to the people, so I can let the dead rest. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I never feel complete. I never feel like I'm good. Every time I feel like, all right, boom, I'm gonna make this happen. Though right now I'm in the process of making something else happen, but at the same time, I still be thinking about other people. Like, all right, I'm gonna start this business. I'm gonna put people in there. Off the books, because I know like a lot of jobs be on who you work for, this and that, and they want to know the history of you. All right, you know what? I got a job. You can work off the books. You're gonna be making $700 to $800 a week. You know what I'm saying? And it's possible. It's jobs that's not hard. That's not strenuous. You can feed your family. You know, and that's what it's about with me. Family. My thing is about.
So, Toes, can I ask you a question? Anybody that's trying to attain this information that haven't already figured it out through your channel, or where can they go to find out what you can teach them and how you can give them this information?
Well, on my channel, I usually have my email on there, and I always tell people, go to my Instagram, hit me direct. I talk to people directly. I'm the type of dude, right. 10 Toes Down TV 1.
Okay, what's the YouTube channel?
10 Toes Down TV 500K.
So everything 10 Toes Down.
Right there, everything 10 Toes Down.
All right, so what I need y'all to do is go over to this brother's page, and if y'all want to figure out how to really make things happen and change y'all lives, go tap his bell.
And check out Scrams.
What's
that again?
Program, bro?
It's called Kicking Knowledge.
Kicking Knowledge. And we are My Expert Opinion. Hit that bell, hit that like, hit that sound, and we gonna holler at y'all on the next episode.
Trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rapper.